We can edit that out! We can edit that out! We can edit that out!
And we're back.
Oh, that came out all right. We actually kind of synced it up. All right,
not bad.
time.
Pretty good.
Cool. Episode 7. I'm Jack.
I'm Rob. This is the We Can Edit That Out podcast. Welcome.
And this is the We Can Edit That Out podcast about conspiracy theories. Is this podcast a conspiracy?
It could be.
Will people listen to what we say and think we're sending them hidden messages?
Or have we been sending them hidden messages this entire time?
Right. That's what I'm wondering. So my brain is completely scrambled about the whole basis of all of it. You got anything?
I don't know if this is a conspiracy or not, but it's something that's been bugging me for a long time.
Yeah, okay.
And I was in the grocery store earlier this week, and I had a craving for veggie dogs. So I went to go get veggie dogs and buns, and again, the packaging of veggie dogs to the packaging of buns is completely stacked against you.
The eternal dilemma.
Yes.
How do you sort that out?
Yeah. So, for example, these were German veggie dogs, and they came either in like a pack of 3 or 5, sometimes 4.
Okay.
All the different brands didn't seem to have any sort of consensus on how many you should get. But just like in the States, the buns come in a pack of 8.
So that's pretty standard worldwide then. I mean, not maybe worldwide, but Western worldwide is that buns always come in 8.
Yeah, it seems so. And for those of you who are not from the States, a standard pack of hot dogs, at least the meat ones, come 10 to a pack. So the dilemma is that if you buy 1 package of hot dogs and 1 package of buns, you're going to end up with 2 extra dogs. So in the States, for that math to work out, you have to get, 4 of each before you... 4 packs of dogs and 5 packs of buns for it to like equal out to even 40.
Yeah, I think that's the math. Or you can put in 2 dogs in 1 bun.
That's true. If you're a
How
psychopath,
many times would you have to do that? Well, I mean, look who you're talking to. I wouldn't mind a double dog bun. That'd be all right, you know.
Yeah, I mean, if they're little, it's okay.
Well, or cut it half the long way, both of them, and then just kind of like smash it all in there.
Oh,
and get wild with it, you know.
Maybe that's why people started putting hot dogs in macaroni and cheese, because they were always left over with
got 2
extra
extra
dogs and didn't know what to do with it.
Huh, that's an interesting idea.
So I don't know if that's a conspiracy, but I always thought, okay, big hot dog and big bun out there.
They got together.
Yeah, and they're like, we'll create a paradox that can never be solved. So people will always have to buy one or the other to keep the supply chain going.
Yeah, exactly. I got 2 extra dogs. Oh, well, I might as well buy another pack of 8, you know, and then, oh, well, now I have to buy another pack of 10, and oh, I have this many left over of this and this many left over of that, and you can never win. You just keep giving them all your money, and they're the ones who win, you know.
And eventually you die of a heart attack.
Well, yeah, I mean, I suppose most people do these days. But this is my question. You have found veggie dogs in Germany, packs of 3, packs of 5. Is that true for just veggie dogs?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't buy meat hot dogs here, so I can't speak to that. But it seems completely arbitrary. I never really understand how they're coming up with these quantities.
So is it the same in the States, though? Because I know the regular hot dogs, it's always 10, but are the veggie dogs sometimes in different increments?
Well, if we're talking like the field roast dogs from Seattle, those come in packs of 4, usually.
Okay.
Either packs or 2. I think they were, there were 4.
So it's the veggie industry that's overthrowing the corporate mantle of the dog to bun ratio. Huh. So in many ways, it is better to eat veggie than meat. Something I think a lot of people don't think about when they're considering a vegetarian diet is the amount of dogs you get per pack.
Yeah.
That's something so mundane. Why would they?
Yeah. I read somewhere that
So why are you a vegetarian? Too many dogs. Just too many dogs.
that Oscar Mayer, who is like the largest producer of hot dogs in the United States, came up with their pack of 10 because each individual hot dog was like 1.6 ounces. And if you had 10, you got 16 ounces. So you got 1 pound of product.
Pound is 16 ounces.
Yeah. Well, whereas the buns are baked in pans that are the width.
Buns a lot. It's funny. Okay. Anyway.
The buns are baked in pans that are wide enough to hold 4 in a row, which is why they come in sort of a unit of 4 that are kind of loosely connected. So they decided that, 8 was the standard amount. It all seems very fishy to me, and I still think there's some fat cats at Oscar Mayer who are like, smoking cigars and drinking snifters of brandy and laughing at our expense.
I'm kind of going non sequitur here, but why is the entire world on the metric system except for the United States of America? I always felt like there was some sort of conspiracy behind that too. Is it Americans just not wanting to move forward in reality, or is there some sort of, I mean, it's called, what America has is called the imperial system, right? Which comes from the imperial United Kingdom owning all the world back when they did. My history is poor, so I'm just going to say back when they did. And why has America refused to change when even England, who came up with the imperial system, has moved along?
Well, interestingly enough, in the U.S. there was a massive campaign to convert everyone into the metric system.
Yeah,
and it was met with upheaval, and people were outraged by it.
I thought you were going to say it was met with Rick. Wait, what?
With a guy named Rick.
Metric. Sorry.
They tried in the U.S. or like the government tried a coordinated effort, and they were like, okay, on this date, we're going to switch to metric, and this is your calculator, and this is how you do everything. And everyone was so freaked out about it that they just gave up.
Right.
And that's the only reason why.
Okay. So this is my personal freedom. You can't tell me to count by tens.
Exactly.
Or measure by tens, sorry. I measure by 16 and a quarter sometimes, whatever. Yeah.
But I mean, the U.S. has been full of weird stuff like that. I mean, that's like why milk is even a thing.
Right. Well, why do humans drink milk in general? We're the only animal of the entire world that drinks milk after they've been weaned off the teat.
Yeah. Well, I believe that was World War II when they were stockpiling milk for the war. And at the end of the war, there was a huge surplus of milk that was like floating around the United States. And farmers were told to increase production to make sure they had enough for their reserves. And then all of a sudden there's all this milk sitting in like storage facilities that can't be used. So they created a whole campaign about how every American household should always have milk in the fridge and all the benefits of drinking milk. And it was really a way to make sure the farmers didn't get completely screwed over from all this overproduction, but it also created, a huge industry out of it, which is really weird.
I mean, it's nice for them to keep in mind jobs for dairy farmers, but that's part of it. Because I was thinking like, well, cool, okay. So before then, they just used milk for cheese and cheese-related products, and they didn't really have like milk in the fridge, but they were still using milk for cheese and cheese-related products, and that's still
true.
Basically using milk after you're weaned off the teat.
But I think it was more of like a specialty item. Like they weren't necessarily having kids drink milk until around that time.
Right. It wasn't like a you have to drink your milk when you're a kid or you won't grow up to be big and strong.
Yeah.
But there's something in that. I mean, there is a lot of calcium in milk, so to get your bones growing. More information than I have.
Yeah.
You know.
I still think the creepiest thing you can ever see is a grown adult drinking a glass of milk. I think it is one of the
Right.
weirdest, grossest
No,
things.
it is weird. It is weird. Who goes out to dinner and orders dinner? And would you ever see that? And with your dinner, what would you like? Can I have a glass of cold milk, please?
That would be such a red flag if you were on a date.
I mean, have you ever seen that on a menu? You know, drinks, cold milk. Like, what the fuck? You know, never thought about that. Is there a conspiracy behind that? I don't know.
I think there's sort of like an underlying, I don't know if it's really a conspiracy, but I feel like there has been a history of intentional misinformation surrounding food.
Yeah, definitely. There's the whole fabricated food pyramid thing. I think that was also post-war, not necessarily from stockpiles, but that it was easier to have the population fed with a cheap, easily produced product like bread, you know, and bread-related products. So they put the high carb stuff at the bottom of the food pyramid as the biggest, you know, as the thing you needed to consume the most, even when it really wasn't. It was just the cheapest, easiest way to feed people, you know, and it made them feel better about feeding their kids tons and tons of bread just to fill them up at the end of the day. But now we're seeing like that's not actually good for you, and there's a lot of people with the paleo diets and things related to that. You know, and I don't want to get specifically paleo because people also think that's a weird thing. You know, what all you eat is meat and vegetables. It's like that is weird paleo, but I don't know.
Do you think diet culture is a conspiracy?
Well, yeah, but why? I don't know.
I mean, is it a conspiracy if people are just trying to make money off of it?
But you can also is anything is being vegan, is the whole vegan movement a conspiracy to get people to do something else? Is it vegetarian? Is eating meat in general? Is that a conspiracy? That's the thing about conspiracies. Is you get into such a rabbit hole with them. It's almost like why I didn't want to do this episode, because I know myself, and I start getting in a rabbit hole, and I start winding into it too much. That's why at the very beginning I was like, I don't know, is this program even a conspiracy? I have no idea at this point. You know, our podcast is a conspiracy, so that's why I asked you. You know, like, well, what do you got that's interesting? You know, whew. Conspiracies is a lot to unpack.
It can be. Are there any conspiracies you believe in?
It's not conspiracies I really believe in, but I think there's conspiracies that I think are funny, like that the moon is a projected image in the sky hiding a planet that's going to cause the apocalypse on the Earth. A lot of flat earthers like that one, apparently, and that the dinosaurs built the pyramids. I actually looked into that. Nobody says they built the pyramids. Some people are saying that they helped, that there's actual evidence that they had dinosaur-like creatures carrying the stones. But I don't know. Oh, fuck, this is going to be a hard one.
I didn't realize dinosaurs were so handy.
Yeah, I think they can be. They're big and they can pull a lot of weight, you know. Like your mom. Hey, we said at the beginning, no mom jokes. But you know what we always say on this show? We can edit that out. But that's one interesting thing about conspiracy theories, is that they turn into crackpot theories depending on who is the person putting them out there. If the person putting them out there is a crackpot, then it becomes a crackpot theory.
Yeah.
And how do you define who and who isn't a crackpot? And what is even a crackpot? I just said it like 5 times in the same paragraph. You got anything? What the fuck is a crackpot?
I don't know. I mean,
somebody whose pot is cracked and it's leaking all the soup out, you know?
I guess.
And it'll always come back to soup and underwear with me.
Yeah, there are people who believe that climate change is a conspiracy.
Right.
Those people are generally considered to be crackpots.
I would like to think so.
But if you're looking at it from their perspective in their like bubble, everyone who's running around saying that, you know, the climate is changing and we're all going to like die in a burning, fiery hellscape on Earth, in their minds, we're all crackpots too.
Right.
So Is there some sort of universal standard for who you can actually call a crackpot, or is it just a relative thing?
I don't know. If you believe it, and that's the interesting thing. If you believe it, everyone else is crazy, and the people on the other side believe since they believe it, everyone else on the other side is crazy. Because I mean, really, you could say about climate change that I'm not defending climate change crazy people, but you could look at it potentially and say, well, the climate does go in waves in history. So how do we necessarily know for a fact that even though our climate change is in the extreme and the human production has been in the extreme, are those two definitively related, or is it like, what do you call it, ad sequitur or some shit, where your alarm goes off at 8 o'clock every morning and the train goes by afterwards, and you think that your alarm clock makes the train go by, and if you don't have your alarm on, the train isn't going to go by. So one day you don't set your alarm and the train still goes by and it blows your whole theory out of the water. You know, is it like that? I don't know. I mean, I know the science is that climate change is definitely a thing, but is human evolvement in it what is actually causing it? I think that's kind of irrelevant. I think whatever humans could or could not be doing to increase climate change is just damaging to the planet anyway, you know, burying like nuclear waste in the desert, shit like that. Oh, we're getting heavy. Fuck. Didn't want to get too heavy. Well, what about conspiracy theories about alcohol? That's always a fun topic.
Conspiracy theories about alcohol.
There really isn't any. Right?
I haven't heard of any.
Neither have I, you know.
I mean, there were actual conspiracy things that happened
Yeah.
in Czech Republic. There was all of this bootleg alcohol being distributed to the bars, and a bunch of people were dying from alcohol poisoning, and then they had to...
Well, that's not funny at all.
It's not funny. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of stuff.
I know.
I mean, the U.S. had prohibition. That was weird.
Yeah, you know, that's where the cocktail came from.
Prohibition?
That wasn't necessarily a conspiracy, but everybody used to drink alcohol straight before Prohibition. And the bathtub gin they were making during Prohibition was so terrible that they had to put something in it to make it drinkable. So that's where the cocktail actually arose from. I'm not positive on that. I only talk about things I think I know, not actual facts. This is not your informative podcast.
Do you think the bathtub gin wasn't good because people weren't cleaning their bathtubs before they were making gin in them?
You think they were like cleaning themselves in their bathtubs before they were making gin in them?
They're just bathing in gin.
It actually does.
Like my
function as
20s.
a bathtub. It's kind of like saying, well, our meth lab is also an actual laboratory. You know, we are splicing genes and making meth. That's kind of like a Breaking Bad plot line, though. Hey, we still live in our crack house. Come on.
It's still a house.
Right? It's not just all about crack. I think you call it a conspiracy theory when there's no definitive proof. That's why I almost feel like people can still do that climate change thing, because I feel like, I don't know, our viewers can write me emails and send me the links that give actual scientific evidence that what the humans are doing is creating climate change. But I mean, like I said, just in general, I think everything we're doing that could potentially being led to climate change should be curtailed. Overproduction, over pollution, all of that, you know.
I think one of the conspiracies around that is the industries somehow trying to convince people that not separating their recyclables from their, you know, food waste was the primary cause of environmental damage and climate change.
Yeah.
Besides like massive industries polluting and emitting all sorts of toxins into the air at grand scales.
This is weird because it almost makes me sound like some sort of like right-wing conservative, and I don't feel like I am, but the whole recycling conspiracy. I totally believe in recycling. I recycle, but I also realize that to pick up my recycling, they now have to send 2 trucks, one to get the actual garbage, one to get the recycling. So having an extra vehicle on the road creates more greenhouse gas, and carbon pollution, That's the conspiracy. Okay, people are concerned about this. Let's give them something that makes them feel better. It doesn't actually help.
Well, there's that thing they didn't really want to talk so much about publicly in the US, and that was that China was buying the bulk of all of our recyclables. So China would send us products, right? And then we have all of these. I say we, like we still live in the US, but we don't. But,
Right.
Okay. So China sends the
Probably
US,
in the West
China
as
sends the
well.
US shipping containers on boats. It's full of products, right?
Right.
After they take out the products, they have a bunch of empty shipping containers, which normally they would sometimes send stuff to China with, but
Right.
a lot of times they'd be sitting on a surplus of shipping containers and not
Okay,
really knowing
okay.
what to do with them. So what happened was China started developing a market for recycled material, and they were buying huge quantities of our recyclables from the US. We would put the recyclables in the shipping containers and send it back to China. And they had like this really good back and forth supply and demand thing going until
But that sounds like a good thing.
it was a good, well, it kind of was a good thing, but the previous
because then you don't
administration.
have the shipping containers going back empty, which is a waste of fossil fuels
Exactly.
again.
Sure. Sure. But what happened, a lot of people in the US thought that their recyclables were going to like a magic recycling plant that turned everything into, shopping bags and new water bottles and stuff. But really the largesse of it was going overseas to China. And the previous administration started a little tariff war with China, and in the beginning of that administration, and then China cut off the recycling stream. Like they were no longer buying large quantities of recyclables from the US, from Canada, from Europe. So now there's sort of a question, like we were probably generating more recyclable material than ever before. Particularly with the huge advent of like online shopping, there's so much more cardboard and boxes and everything floating around. Is all of it actually getting recycled, or is it like do we just find like a weird island to dump all the cardboard on or something?
Everybody notices that when they order something from Amazon, that they get a small item in a giant cardboard thing, And it's like, why was that necessary?
That was actually one of the jobs I had in Seattle. As I worked in Amazon's packing plant.
At the what do you call that? The flagship?
Yeah, it was like
The flagship base.
It's the original
base.
It's the original base.
Used to be a children's hospital back in the 70s that I actually went to when I was a child. So you can blame it all on me.
It was the worst job I've ever had in my entire life. I only had it for a week. But I worked in the shipping department, the packing and shipping, and you're basically sitting on like a big conveyor belt assembly line, and they have like 5 or 6 different sizes of box that on the beginning of the assembly line, like the package of like the books and the CDs or whatever with the packing slip on top of it came down the line. And then as fast as you possibly can, you grab the closest box to you that is like the right size to fit it in. The next person throws the blister pack, the air pack into it, and it just goes down the line like that.
That's the thing. It's like excess waste caused by the need for delivery speed, which is based on convenience, which is based on that's how the world will end, is people not being able to give up their convenience. And if you look at the why is there so much pollution? It's because people are just obsessed with convenience. They can't be without that. I have to have my Prime. I have to have it by tomorrow. I can't wait. It's not convenient. Well, the need for that is what has led to so much extra shit in this world, you know?
And it's weird, like companies like Amazon obsessing and focusing so much on trying to make their customer experience the best it can be has all of this super dark downside to the rest of society as well that people don't really think about.
Right, because the best customer experience is that you got it on time, not that you got it in a properly sized container.
Yep.
Which is the human condition, you know? You'll complain about the amount of packaging that is involved in something, but you won't get irate about it. But you get irate if it's late to your doorstep, you know? We got to have that convenience, you know? Oh, well, it's not so convenient to throw away an extra amount of something, but it is super inconvenient to have something a day late. It's like, that's fucked up. That's what's going to kill off the human race. And that's not really a conspiracy. That's just a fact of the human condition. Yeah. So we got real heavy.
Let's take a moment to digest that.
Take a moment to digest that. Listen to a song that we wrote.
Try not to slit your wrists.
We're going to come back with funny jokes. We've actually prepared a lot of funny jokes. So, yeah, we didn't actually prepare a lot of funny jokes. I just kind of wanted a cigarette, and things were getting too dark and going down the rabbit hole on conspiracy theories. But the whole extra packaging thing of Amazon is not good for the environment, but I'll tell you one thing. When they send these giant boxes with nothing in it, I put them in front of the door to take out to the recycling, not the trash, the recycling. And my cats fucking love playing in these boxes. You know, I don't know why cats love playing in these boxes, but you know, we'll buy them toys, no interest in toys, but our refuse, our garbage, what have you, they will play with that stuff for hours. I drop a hazelnut on the floor of my apartment and they will play with that for hours. You know, I'm serious. It's like, why did I buy that flippy fish thing? All they needed was a hazelnut.
They just wanted the box the flippy fish came in.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. You know? Oh, well, what do you think of this toy? Box is awesome. Okay, so I don't know why. Do you know why cats love boxes so much?
Here's a question.
What?
How come no one's came up with cat box?
Cat box. Yeah, you just buy. Because I think that's the general nature of cats. Is if you bought a box for them, they would look at it and go, "Yeah, no, yeah. I don't like that." But the box you bought for me came in. Oh, that's amazing. You know what I mean? I don't know what drives in that. Maybe our viewer can. Am I doing that too much? Am I appealing to our viewer too often to say, can you please write to us and tell us that? Or should we just figure it out on our own because nobody gives a shit anyway?
I think the bigger issue is that you keep calling them viewers.
No, but I've dialed that back to viewer. Not like I'm not on the plural anymore. I'm on the singular.
And that's not the issue. The issue is that you're calling them a viewer and not a listener.
Well, I don't know.
There's no cameras here. You do know that.
Oh, aren't there?
Well, there's probably.
Isn't that a conspiracy? You know, maybe there's a camera in your. I mean, we are living in East Berlin.
That's true.
There used to be cameras listening
I probably have a spooky DDR neighbor who's like taking pictures through like a sandwich or something.
Right, yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I don't have cats, so I don't know.
Why don't you have cats? This place would be perfect for a cat. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm allergic to them, so that's like a downer.
Well,
but I think there's a bigger issue, and that is that it's funny to say this now, but I feel like I'm not home enough to like to have an animal. But in general, when we're not in a pandemic,
right?
I travel a lot. I like to stay out all hours and stuff. If I had an animal, if I had a pet, I would want to be present for that pet and to be able to be like a good companion to it rather than just have something I'm neglecting in my flat all the time. And that's actually the primary reason why I don't have pets. I would love to have a pet, but I need to be in a different point in my life before I can start being responsible for another living being, I think.
That's why I don't have a dog, because they're even extra time consuming. You have to take them out all the time. Because I've had cats multiple times, but in Seattle, everybody lives in houses. So you just have like a cat door or a window that's open all the time, or you just let them in and out, you know. And I was always okay with that, because it's like, well, the cat is still a free living creature, free acting creature. I don't know. But this is the first time in my life I've ever had inside pets, and I was very against it, because I don't like putting a cage on things. I think it's just weird. It's like, I don't know, making a prisoner out of something and then showing it love and affection. Well, of course it loves you. It has nothing else to do.
Yeah, it actually just develops Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, exactly. Or like Plato's cave. You know.
Do you think if you opened up the door to your flat and let your cats run out, they would just leave and never come back? Or
no, our cats are terrified of the outside, and there's a reason for that. Is because one of them only has one eye, and one of them has no teeth, and they're rescue cats. And they would not have survived in the wild or on the streets or even as outside cats without us taking them in. Anytime I've taken Lucky, the one-eyed cat, outside of the flat, he's terrified, because all of a sudden it's two-dimensional to him again. When we got him, he ran all over the apartment, knocking things over, jumping up as high as he could, on the top of everything, and we just could not stop it, which is what a kitten normally does. But he did it excessively, to the point where I was like, what the fuck is up with this cat? And I realized he was mapping the whole apartment out by running around it. So in his mind, even though he only sees in the 2-dimension, since he's mapped it all out by jumping all over the fucking place, he has a 3-dimensional feel for it, like a natural feel for how far things are away. You know, I mean, one of the funniest things is seeing him hunt flies, because it's like, he'll jump at it. It's like, no, wasn't there. keep trying, bro.
Trying.
We love you, but
need that triangulation.
Yeah,
going.
exactly. So I mean that's how I reconcile putting something in a cage. Is that they would not be able to survive without my help. Are they living a better life with me? Are they looking at me sometimes like, I honestly wish it was dead. You know, I mean, cool.
You guys
kept me alive.
You guys give those cats quite a bit of love.
I think so. Give them love, give them food, give them a place or a roof over their head, and cleaned up their shit. Hey, that's another reason why I would never have a dog. I was watching this person walk down the street the other day with their dog, and they stopped for the dog to shit, and they had the bag on their hand, and they had to move their head in such a way so they're looking at the dog's ass, waiting for the shit to come out. And I was like, man, that's just not how I want to live my life. It's with my head up something else's ass, going like, you gonna shit yet? So I can pick it up with my hand?
Think about how the dog feels. Like the dog the dog must just be like, man, my master is obsessed.
Right? Are you gonna
a scientist?
You gonna sniff my butt, or are you just gonna stare at it? You know? I mean, when is it foreplay and when is it not foreplay? You know, you gonna stare at my ass all day before you sniff it, or what? Come on, don't dance around it. Get your nose in there. You know what I mean? So and then to have that bag on your hand and then just dive right into a hot fucking pile of steamy shit, you know? It's like, well, I mean, I don't know. Cool that people love their dogs, but I'm not trying to be anti-dog or anti-having dogs or anything like that. But I find the idea of it degrading to me. That is my life. When I leave the apartment, I stare at a dog's ass and then I fucking pick up warm shit. I don't know. That's not my thing. Of course, I do clean up the cat box. Not half the time, but, you know, I do an okay job of picking up my responsibilities, picking up their shit. There was a story that I read a long time ago. I don't know if you ever read this, about space aliens that come to Earth, and they're talking about the dominant species on the planet. Like, yeah, they do nothing, but people take them out for walks all the time, and then they clean up their shit, and they have this most amazing life. And they're talking about dogs being the dominant species on the planet as opposed to humans. And if you think about that, it's kind of true. You know what I mean?
Oh.
I mean, who has the domination of the human species?
Yeah, the dogs aren't walking around with.
Who has the domination of the
bags of human
planet?
poo
Dogs
and-
do. Yeah, exactly. We treat these dogs like they're kings, emperors. Can I get your shit, sir? Has it come out yet? Let me get my head in there and find out. Ooh, it's coming out. Okay, but we didn't want all this to be about shit and cat shit and dog shit,
We didn't.
I don't know. It goes where it needs to go, I feel like.
The podcast or shit?
Well, right. Both.
My God, it's a conspiracy.
I mean, I love having pets. So you're allergic to cats.
I've lived with several cats that I've grown very fond and close with. I don't hate cats.
No, I know you don't hate cats.
But I'm allergic to them, and it's
when
not
you come
like
over,
great.
you love my cats, and
Yeah,
it's a
they're
great thing. But I can tell that you're like, okay, but okay, love you for a minute, but I don't want to sneeze my fucking head off. So that's it. I have to draw the line somewhere.
I wish I wasn't allergic to cats.
Are you allergic to dogs?
No, not at all.
In a perfect world, you would have a cat or a dog.
I would consider myself more of a dog person.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know how much of that is just based on me being allergic to cats, but I also had a dog when I was really young, and I generally find dogs endlessly amusing.
Fuck, I would be so happy to have a dog as a pet.
That's kind of my ideal scenario too. Is I don't want to have a dog when I live in a tiny apartment surrounded by apartments in a city. The day that I do get a dog, let me put it that way, because I will have one. Or
Doggy, I will have you.
I want to have some open, at least a yard or some open space or something that the dog could have a very grand sense of liberty to cruise around and explore and come find weird stuff and bury it.
So here's the thing. If you were to have a dog, what breed would it be?
I actually find smaller dogs far more charming.
No. Okay.
Not necessarily like the super hyperactive ones that are all over the place all the time, but I've always had a massive affinity for dachshunds.
Dachshunds.
I think dachshunds are just adorable.
Okay.
All my friends that own dachshunds, I commend them for amazing taste. I just think they're adorable. I always have.
Yeah, dachshunds.
So dachshund would be on the top of my list.
Okay.
But they do come with their own complications. They end up with back problems because of their,
tiny legs.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I think they're adorable.
The funny thing about dachshunds, they're also called a hot dog.
That's true.
Yeah, which comes back to the beginning of this episode.
Yeah.
We started talking about hot dogs, and now we're talking about hot dogs again. But I wanted to know, why do they call dachshunds a hot dog in particular?
Well, I mean, it's just the shape of their bodies. They're shaped they weren't necessarily called hot dogs. They were called wiener dogs.
Wiener dogs. Oh, right. Wiener dogs. Okay.
And maybe there's a little bit of wiener also means something from Vienna.
Right.
And maybe they make some sort of connection between the meat product and the animal that way too.
I mean, just to set us up for a good joke, popped into my head. I was like, what's the difference between a hot dog and a wiener? It just went through my head, and you can go anywhere you want with that one.
Well, what's the difference?
I don't know. Come on.
Oh, I thought you were telling everyone a joke.
No.
Oh, that's worse.
I thought in my head, I'm like, what's
no,
the
that's
difference?
worse. That's worse than telling a joke. That's like,
What's the difference between a wiener and a hot dog? Went through my head. I'm like, oh, if I say that out loud, everybody will be able to laugh at me and go, you don't know the difference between a wiener and a hot dog? Wiener is a child's slang term for the penis. It's funny.
You could not have said that more awkwardly.
I
That
know,
was
I know.
amazing.
Right. When you say penis really loud, it becomes funny. You can go, the penis, or you go, the penis, and then it becomes funny. Okay. This could be the episode called Jack Says Penis 5 times in 5 minutes. But anyway, hot dogs and wieners and penises are all funny. That's all funny stuff.
They definitely can be for sure.
I don't know how to segue out of this. I don't know. We're getting close to
I kind of want a hot dog again now.
Why?
I mean, to be perfectly honest, the only reason why I brought up craving a veggie dog was because I'm obsessed with relish.
Okay. Right.
Because
right.
I love pickled stuff.
You love anything pickle based.
So
Pickles and
for
pickle
me,
based anything.
a hot dog is nothing more than a vehicle to get as much relish and sauerkraut into my system as possible.
Right. It's like a car makes no sense without people inside. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So the whatever it is the car, and the people inside are the relish.
Yeah. But we could do a whole episode on food, and maybe we should. Because I think we opened up a little bit of a Pandora's box here.
We opened up a can of worms. We opened up a can of beef. We opened up a can of mock duck. And people on the thing, they don't know that Rob is an amazing cook, and I am not. So this will be interesting discussion, I think, for the next podcast. Rob eats mostly plant-based vegetarian diet, some fish. I eat vegetarian and plant-based as well, but I also eat meat and fish as well. So we're not really going to go into the politics about that, although it might come up. But I think we're going to talk about funny food stories.
Yeah,
and,
I think there's quite a bit.
What's the best food to slap your friend in the face with? Stay tuned. All right, we're out.
Yeah, until next time, this is Rob.
This is Jack.
And
ciao. We do that every time.
We can edit that out! We can edit that out! We can edit that out!
You waiting for me to start? I'll start. Hey kids who are actually over 18, if you want to follow us on Instagram, our Instagram is Rob.
We can edit that out _podcast. So on Instagram at we can edit that out _podcast.
Right, how do you underscore something? Like I didn't score enough. I underscored it. It sounds self-defeating.
You can also find us on Facebook.
Right. We can edit that out. Am I supposed to say something else?
No, I mean, you did great.
Hey, and our email is we can edit that out podcast @gmail.com.
Try that one more time because
I can't read your writing.
It's WCETO.
Oh, right. Okay. How did I read a whole fucking sentence out of 4 words? Makes no sense. Okay, anyway, our email is WECTO podcast @gmail.com.
Try that one more time, but put the letters in the right order.
Okay. Our email is WCETO podcast @gmail.com. Did I get that right?
You got it right.
All right.
That's perfect. Yeah, send us your questions, your burning questions, your thoughts, recipes for apple rhubarb crumble.
Right.
Your hot takes on apple rhubarb crumble and whether or not it's a good thing or not.
I want to find things you found in your pocket in my mail as soon as possible.